Have you ever wondered if a perfect crime truly exists? What if I told you that sometimes the most elaborate alibis, the most carefully constructed lies, can be shattered by a single, seemingly insignificant piece of evidence? Today we're diving into a case that proves just that. This isn't just a story about a crime. It's about how one tiny detail, one overlooked clue, can bring a cunning criminal to justice. It's a real-life detective story that shows how truth has a funny way of making itself known, even when someone tries their best to bury it. The case revolves around a man named Stephen McDaniel, a law student at Mercer University in Georgia. In 2011, his neighbor and fellow law student Lauren Giddings mysteriously vanished. Lauren was just 27 years old, a bright, ambitious young woman with her whole life ahead of her. She was last seen on June 25th, and when she didn't show up for a study session and her friends couldn't reach her, they grew worried and reported her missing. The police began their investigation, searching her apartment and the surrounding area for any sign of her. Her family and friends were desperate, holding on to hope that she would be found safe. The community was on edge, and everyone was asking the same question: what happened to Lauren Giddings? Next door lived Stephen McDaniel. On the surface, he appeared to be just another concerned neighbor. He even gave a TV interview expressing his shock and worry about Lauren's disappearance. He spoke calmly, describing her as a nice person and expressing hope for her safe return. He told reporters, "I was supposed to go over there on Saturday to study with a friend, and she was supposed to be there, but she wasn't there." He seemed cooperative, just another face in the crowd of concerned onlookers. But as the investigation unfolded, this seemingly helpful neighbor would become the prime suspect. The very interview he gave, intended to portray him as innocent, would contain the seed of his own downfall. As days turned into a week, the search for Lauren intensified. The police focused on the apartment complex where both she and McDaniel lived. On June 30th, a foul odor led investigators to a horrifying discovery. In a trash bin just outside the building, they found a dismembered human torso. The community's worst fears were realized. DNA tests would later confirm the remains belonged to Lauren Giddings. The missing person case had now become a brutal homicide investigation. The question was no longer, where is Lauren? But who did this to her? The focus of the investigation immediately sharpened, and detectives began looking much closer at everyone in Lauren's life, especially those in her immediate vicinity. With the discovery of Lauren's body, investigators began to scrutinize her neighbors more intensely. Stephen McDaniel, the law student next door, naturally came under the microscope. He had already been interviewed, but now the police wanted to talk to him again, not as a witness, but as a person of interest. They executed a search warrant for his apartment just feet away from where Lauren had lived. Inside, what they found was deeply disturbing. They discovered a master key to the apartment complex, packaging for a hacksaw, and Lauren Giddings' underwear hidden in his bedroom. They also seized his computer, which would later reveal a treasure trove of incriminating evidence, including searches for dismemberment and a blog he kept detailing fantasies of violence. The picture of a concerned neighbor was rapidly dissolving, replaced by the portrait of a dark and obsessive predator. McDaniel was arrested, but he maintained his innocence. He had an alibi. He claimed he was in his apartment, studying for the bar exam during the time Lauren was believed to have been killed. Proving he was lying seemed like a difficult task. There were no eyewitnesses to the murder itself, and he was a law student. He knew the system, was smart, calculating, and believed he had committed the perfect crime. He was confident his story would hold up, that there was no direct evidence linking him to the act of murder inside Lauren's apartment. He was banking on the idea that without a smoking gun, he could create enough reasonable doubt to walk free. The prosecution needed something definitive, something that would tear his alibi to shreds, and that's when they found it. The crucial piece of evidence wasn't a weapon or a fingerprint. It was something far more subtle, hidden in plain sight. Do you remember that TV interview McDaniel gave? It's the one where he played the part of the concerned neighbor. Investigators rewatched that footage frame by frame, looking for anything out of place, and they found it. In the background of his interview, visible through the window of his apartment, was a small flickering light. It was a digital clock, and the time and date displayed on that clock were about to unravel McDaniel's entire story. The clock was a key piece of evidence because of what it represented, a timeline. McDaniel had given this interview on the morning of June 30th, the same day Lauren's remains were discovered. In the interview, he spoke about Lauren in the past tense, saying things like she was a nice person, At that point, Lauren was only officially a missing person. No one, except for her killer, knew for certain that she was dead. His use of the past tense was a slip-up, a psychological tell. But the clock provided something even more concrete. It provided a timestamp that directly contradicted his alibi and linked him to the cover-up. Here's how it all came together. During their search of his apartment, investigators found the packaging for the hacksaw he had used. They were able to trace the purchase of that hacksaw to a local Walmart. Security footage from the store showed McDaniel buying the saw and other items. The receipt was time-stamped. By cross-referencing the time on the receipt with the time displayed on the digital clock in his TV interview, investigators could build a precise timeline of his actions. He wasn't studying in his apartment as he claimed. He was actively trying to cover his tracks, buying tools to dispose of the body, all while pretending to be a worried friend. The evidence was overwhelming. The master key explained how he got into her apartment. The digital evidence on his computer revealed his dark fantasies and meticulous planning. The store footage showed him buying the tools of the disposal. But it was that digital clock in the background of his own interview that tied it all together. It proved he was lying about his whereabouts and his knowledge of the crime. It was a self-inflicted wound, a mistake made in a moment of hubris, believing he was clever enough to talk to the media without implicating himself. He tried to control the narrative, but in doing so, he created the very evidence that would condemn him. Faced with this mountain of evidence, with his alibi completely destroyed, Stephen McDaniel's confidence finally broke. Just before his trial was set to begin in 2014, he confessed. He admitted to breaking into Lauren's apartment, strangling her, and then dismembering her body in the bathtub. His detailed confession matched the evidence the police had painstakingly gathered. The case of the perfect crime was solved by a combination of thorough police work and the killer's own arrogance. That tiny, flickering clock in the background of a news report became the final nail in his coffin. Stephen McDaniel was sentenced to life in prison, ensuring he would never harm anyone again. This case is a powerful reminder that in the end, truth often prevails. It shows that even the most calculated criminals can be undone by the smallest of details. For Lauren Giddings' family and friends, the verdict brought a measure of justice. Though nothing can ever heal the pain of their loss, it's a testament to the investigators who refused to give up, who looked at every piece of evidence, no matter how small, to piece together the truth. So the next time you hear about a seemingly unsolvable crime, remember this story. Remember the flickering light of a digital clock that shone a light on a dark secret and brought a killer to justice. Thanks for watching, and if you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more true crime stories. Stay safe out there.